in mind those who are paying the ultimate price for our liberation struggle, our martyrs and our prisoners, and our martyrs who continue to be prisoners after their death. We post about people like this, about the brave Palestinian people resisting annihilation and genocide by any means necessary all the time. If you look to the wall on your left, there is a bunch of photos of some of the most recent Palestinians who have been genocided, who have been ethnically cleansed by the Zionist genocidal Israeli state. It's important that we remember that these commemorations are not just a relic of the past, something that we're sitting together and remembering. It's an ongoing struggle. It's an ongoing struggle that we also all have a responsibility to be a part of. As people who are not directly living under the bombs, bullets, checkpoints, and so many things that Palestinians have to face daily. If anything, it's our responsibility to be even more loud and more strong in our support for Palestine. And as we stand here, I want us to remember another Palestinian martyr, who was a Palestinian resistance leader imprisoned by the Israeli government in Israeli prisons over and over and over again. And he waged hunger strike so many times. Years ago, I remember people would do the saltwater challenge, which when Palestinians are hunger strike, all they have is salt and water to stay alive. Palestinians have gone hundreds of days on hunger strike. There are Palestinians who spent over 100 days not eating. And Khadr Adnan was one of those Palestinians who recently was killed by medical neglect in Israeli prisons because they knew he was demanding his freedom through a hunger strike, and they didn't give it to him, and he died. He was killed by the Israeli prisons and the Israeli state. And after his death, right now, his family can't have his body back to bury him. So he was a prisoner in life, and even in death, he continues to be a prisoner. He is just one of many Palestinians. The reason I mentioned his name is because he's one of the most recent and a resistance leader. So I want us to remember the names, the faces of the martyrs on that wall. Take pictures of them, share them. We're not just here, to party and be happy about Palestine. That's not the reason we're here. The reason we make noise is to get attention, to bring it back to our martyrs, to bring it back to our struggle. And as we all know, as people living in the US, in the belly of the beast, this country is especially invested in Israel's existence. And it was Joe Biden himself, a so-called liberal Democrat, who said, if there wasn't an Israel, then we would have had to create one. Because we know that Israel exists as a military base for the US in the Middle East. Everyone was talking about thoughts and prayers for Syria and Turkey when the earthquake hit. But what about the man-made disasters, not the natural disasters? How many of you know that Syria was bombed 8 times since the earthquake by Israel? But it's only a disaster worth mourning if it's a natural disaster, not a man-made disaster like we see every day. So remember that in the US, when you pay your tax dollars, the reason we say that chant, your tax dollars decide who funds genocide, remember that millions of dollars go to Israel every single day, $10 million. That's not an exaggeration. I know it sounds like a big number, but that's not an exaggeration. $10 million of your tax dollars just for weapons goes to Israel. And more than that goes to other things, but I'm talking about 10 million just for weapons alone goes to Israel from your tax dollars. When you buy something, when you pay your taxes, that ends up as chests in the bullets of Palestinian children. Are you okay with that? Are you okay with that? Anybody who doesn't speak out for Palestinian resistance and supporting Palestine is okay with that, because unless we make it clear that we're against this, then we're letting the US speak in our name and use our tax dollars to fund Palestinian genocide. So it's important that we keep that in mind. And remember, that the U.S. is also invested in our occupation. The U.S. is invested in our oppression. So this is why it's especially important for us living in the U.S., living in a city like New York City, the belly of the imperialist beast, for us to make this known. And Palestinian political prisoners don't only exist in Palestine, they also exist in the U.S. The Palestinian movement has been attacked by the U.S. government for years. And there are currently Palestinian prisoners, like the Holy Land 5 Foundation, three out of the 5 continue to be imprisoned, wrongfully imprisoned, since 2008. For what crime? The crime of sending money to orphans in Palestine. The crime of taking care of Palestinian children and families who have been bombed by Gaza, who have lost limbs, who have lost their livelihood, who live without electricity, who live under siege and blockade. And the Holy Land Foundation didn't just provide support to Palestine, but humanitarian efforts across the world. Even here in the US, when the Oklahoma City bombing happened, the Holy Land 5 were on the front line, not just donating money, but donating their own blood to American citizens. And where are these people? Where is the movement for Palestinian liberation for them? They continue to be imprisoned to this day. They are grandfathers. They have families. So when we stand out here and support Palestinian prisoners and demand Palestinian liberation, it's also important to remember that there are Palestinian prisoners right here in this very country. And without the support of US imperialism, Israel could not exist, because our resistance would have taken them out a long time ago. If you see any of these signs about Free the HLF-5, the organization that I just talked about, whose leaders were wrongfully imprisoned and continue to be in prison, look at one of these signs and scan the QR code. There's more information on our website on how to get involved. And before we break, I want everyone to hold up any sign, flag, anything you have as high as possible. We're gonna take a group picture, group video, to show the world that we came out here for Gaza, for Palestine, for the Nakba, and we will continue to come out here until every single inch of Palestinian land is free, is liberated, is returned, and that we return to our homes and we get there by any means necessary. And one more thing, we got a request to do Jannah, Jannah one more time as a uniting chant for our struggle and to bring it back to the spirit of the Palestinian resistance, because this is what they sing in Palestine during these protests, during these difficult times. Jannah, 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 Tislam ya watanna. Jannah, 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 Tislam ya watanna. Ya watan ya habayye, ya butrab al-tayyib, ya watan ya habayye, ya butrab al-tayyib. جنة 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 اسلام يا وطننا جنة 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 اسلام يا وطننا يا وطن يا حبيب يا بتراب الطيب يا وطن يا حبيب يا بتراب الطيب حتى نارك جنة حتى نارك جنة 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 تسلم يا وطننا جنة 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 تسلم يا وطننا Thank you everybody for coming out. If you have a Gaza sign and you want to keep it, that's yours to keep. If you have a sign and you're going to throw it away, please don't do that. Give it back to us on this truck. We'll bring them to the next protest. Amana, if you have a sign, like the ones on the poles, you can keep those too as long as you bring them back at the next protest. But if you're not sure, put it back on this truck. If you want to keep the Gaza posters, keep them. Any flags, anything on poles, please try to return them at the back of this truck here. Thank you so much.